the explosion of technology is happening across enterprises and across business functions. That means each enterprise is almost becoming a tech company. And each business function almost needs to have a tech-enabled office. We started adopting AI across our HR functions, across our finance functions, our IT functions. And as part of that, not only have we already achieved $3.5 billion worth of productivity benefits, we are on target to achieve 4.5 billion by end of year. The importance of AI sovereignty, AI resilience is very clear. Embedded with security is something which is what keeps, and it came out very strongly in our APAC AI outlook. How and where they are embracing AI. Some of our key clients have also are there who have mentioned about how IBM is enabling. One of our key clients has spoken.
Welcome to Mint Techcetra, your go-to podcast for everything tech and business. I'm your host, Nelson John. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest drivers quietly powering India's tech story, Global Capability Centers, or GCCs. Now, for a long time, GCCs were seen as cost centers. Do the work cheaper, do it faster, move on. That chapter is done. What we're seeing now is a clear shift. These centers are building products, driving innovation, and shaping global strategy. In many cases, they've become full-fledged global value centers, GVCs. Today, to help us break this down, I'm joined by Mr. Santhosh Rao, partner and executive director at IBM Consulting for India and South Asia. Mr. Santhosh also leads the GCC business at IBM Consulting and brings close to 3 decades of experience in digital transformation, AI-led change, and large-scale enterprise strategy. From agentic AI to evolution of GCCs into innovation and decision-making hubs, Mr. Santhosh works right at the center of how global enterprises are rethinking scale and impact. In this conversation, we'll talk about what's changing as we head into 2026, the skills that will really make the next generation of the talent, and how IBM is helping organizations move confidently into an AI-first era. Mr. Santhosh, it's great to have you with us here on Mint Techcetra.
Thank you, Nelson. Great introduction and looking forward for the awesome conversation.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. Santhosh, let me start off with the big picture. We've been hearing that GCCs aren't just back office delivery centers anymore. They're morphed into strategic engines for their parent organizations. So over the past year, we've seen the role of global capability centers evolving significantly. How has the Indian GCC landscape changed in the last year, especially in terms of strategic value and ownership of global functions?
So very right and pointed question on what we are seeing on how GCCs, if I may call, are going through a maturity curve on what you very rightly said when you started off, right? It was initially looked at more of cost, labor arbitrage related aspects. But I think what's happening in today's world, as we all know, we are all very clearly, I would say Insta-driven. The customer satisfaction levels are always the focus. And more, as we look at large-scale enterprise transformations, the earlier era, which was predominantly, I would categorize it as almost an outsource-driven organization for enterprises. Like they are good at what they are good at, and how does an IT service provider really take the IT function and do it. And then they started setting, okay, I might also look at setting up my own centers instead of depending on IT services and IT providers. But as we are looking at transformation, we're very clearly seeing the synergy of technology into every enterprise. So the explosion of technology is happening across enterprises and across business functions. That means each enterprise is almost becoming a tech company. And each business function almost needs to have a tech enabled office. That's the biggest reason why we are seeing the significant growth in GCCs. One, very clearly, every business function, whether you're looking at HR, finance, corporate, all the way into domain with respect to supply chain, logistics, or customer interactions, each business function are now very clearly tech enabled. So the business functions or the business owners who own the P&L would rather have their own teams as their own extensions as part of their core team who understand the business, who are trying to drive outcomes. And that's where they are basically trying to make sure that as they look at enterprise transformation, they are trying to drive and generate value out of the data which is there, which is coming together using these centers, which is technically an extension of their own enterprise. So as more and more enterprises are looking at, strategic transformation across levels, we are seeing more and more GCCs move up the value chain of just not doing what is to be done at the back office, but really becoming business outcome focused, innovation focused. And the trend, what we are seeing is the outsource era has moved into insource, which is what GCC is, and co-source with strategic partners like us. So we are seeing that significant shift as it moves up through the value chain of the GCC maturity curve is how we are seeing it.
Right. So you mentioned about, you're seeing the shift. So so you're saying, are these GCCs now owning end-to-end processes, or is it rather just execution, like, how does it work?
Very clearly, when you're looking at it specific, again, different GCCs are at different levels of maturity, right? So some very high-end GCCs or strategic GCCs who have the mission, vision translated into their organization. They are extensions of the larger enterprise, not really labor arbitrage or a cost. In those GCCs, we are really looking at each of these GCC teams actually driving innovation, not just trying to be part of the team of taking orders and delivering, but really making sure that they're part of the council to really look at what can help in improving customer satisfaction, what can help in improving in terms of logistics, what can help in the whole supply chain transparency related aspects. Or we've actually worked with another GCC, how can the whole payer to provider in an insurance company, the workflow can be reimagined. So these are aspects where the innovation is happening from here to drive business outcomes, enabling customer experience, definitely enabling revenue for the company. But we are also seeing some GCCs basically going and saying, okay, I have the technology and the talent. Can I even look at developing my own product and trying to drive product led innovation into what we are seeing as a very high end matured GCC, where they're actually not just doing what used to be a traditional bottom line play of cost takeout, do more at less, but also top line play of revenue generation for the organization. We are seeing that also in some of the GCCs.
Right. So that's the interesting thing about, technology. It enables everybody to, take part in this transformation. With that being said, Santhosh, AI has been the buzzword around now for a long time. So it's everywhere in all our discussions and everything that, today on the internet, you see it, a lot revolves around AI and as such. But, there's a big difference around the hype and the real uses. So how do you see, or how are GCCs actually adopting AI today? And what changes with the arrival of agentic AI capabilities?
Perfect question, Nelson. I think you have some very interesting and very important questions for our clients as well as our leaders across. So let me step back. Right, I feel very humbled to have spent close to 3 decades in IBM. I basically believe what we feel that we are a 114-year-old startup company, right? So that's the journey of IBM. The reason why I'm talking about it is if we really look at it, the first set of innovations in terms of actually even defining AI was where IBM got involved way back in 1950s. So we have almost 7 decades of being involved with AI journey. So the reason why I'm trying to bring that up is AI has gone through its own evolution, as you very rightly said. The way IBM is looking at making sure that the AI is very clearly something which is responsible for the enterprises and responsible for customers like us is what has been our enterprise AI strategy. And the way we've gone about it, you would have seen very clearly when it comes to trust, integrity, and innovation. We are one of those leaders where we take a lot of pride that we uphold trust and integrity at the highest level, and we continue to be the innovation and the patent leader year on year, right? When we look at it from that perspective, when AI started evolving, I think all of us know it started off way back in the 1950s where IBM was trying to do something with the checkers game. And all of us probably know this great gentleman by name Gary Kasparov, right? The chess. So IBM came up with Deep Blue to really sort of simulate and take Gary Kasparov on. That's where the machine learning and the AI came into picture. And then you would have probably heard about Jeopardy, which is all about Q&A related aspects and so on. That's when the whole Watson aspect came in. And then we went into Watson X, which is basically trying to drive enterprise specific solutions. The whole focus has been all about how do we drive ensuring as our GCCs move towards AI adoption, we bring in these 7 decades of experience of doing this to our own self. So you would have seen our results, and the reason why IBM is doing so good in the last couple of years is because we basically went and told our own chairman came in and said, let's try to make sure that we adopt AI for driving productivity benefits for our own company. So we started adopting AI across our HR functions, across our finance functions, our IT functions. And as part of that, not only have we already achieved $3.5 billion worth of productivity benefits, we are on target to achieve 4.5 billion by end of year. But by doing that, simple examples like the way we've gone about adopting AI into HR. We are in people's business. Consulting is all about people. I can look at the entire HR business function, right from hire to retire, and look at how and where we can bring in AI. We have ecosystem partners doing payroll. We have other aspects doing onboarding. There are also aspects of government forums for PF and other areas. So different APIs and interfaces. How do you really look at the entire hire to retire circle and try to start bringing, a step-by-step method of adoption of AI? The reason why I'm giving this background is we've actually come up with a very clear playbook of how do we move from plus AI to AI plus. In the sense, don't use, because of the hype, as you very rightly said, with the consumerization of AI, there's a lot of hype, but that's not going to be enterprise ready. So what we said is, in order for you to make sure that you drive AI adoption at scale, these are the steps of how will you collect the data, how will you transform the data, how will you make sure that the data collected is sovereign, right? That's the most important aspect. The provenance and the sovereignty of the data, and what all you need to do to make sure that that data is sovereign. And then you look at building steps. It can really be basic machine learning with automation, automation with AI, and then you put the whole Gen AI layer on it, and then you try to say AI will do the work through agentic. So these step-by-step ladder is what we have done to our own self in the different business functions. We have proven it to ourselves by calling it as client zero. And this is exactly how we are taking to GCCs of saying, here you go. We are not coming and trying to give you something which is not proven and tested. This is how it's worked for us. This is exactly how I think if you start adopting our learnings and how we have built this into our asset library today, which is called IBM Consulting Advantage, you can leverage towards becoming an enterprise of effectively adopting AI through the journey. We're not going and trying to tell that go and try to drive AI from day one. We're basically giving you those steps of maybe you can drive efficiencies through just automation. You can probably drive efficiencies through just machine learning. So, can we really go into the areas of agentic is what we are trying to go through. And that's how we have done it to ourselves through Client Zero. And this whole platform of IBM Consulting and Advantage is continuously baked, refined. Our assets and accelerators are fine tuned. It's no longer about just giving a Gemini license or a Copilot license or what's an X license, right? It's about how do you take them through the journey, is what IBM Consulting brings onto the table.
Yeah, so Santhosh, you've spent a long time in IBM, 3 decades, like you've mentioned before. So from your experience here at IBM, could you share with us, a few examples like how you've helped clients leverage AI within GCCs? I'm not talking about technology pilots, but scaling capabilities and creating value.
So today we bring in a lot of MBA grads and industry experts into business requirements, understanding the BA aspect. And is there a way where we can do requirements gathering and business modeling in a different way? So we've actually gone and done assisted BA. Similarly, comes to development, and the developers are looking at, okay, I do have a Java code, but I want to migrate it to Python. Is there a way? So actually have models which will help them to move from Java to Python at a click of a button. But are we going to make sure that that Python code is generating the same results as the Java code was generating? Then you bring in testers, right? How do you make sure that the testing happens in an assisted testing way? And then naturally the DevOps and operations related aspects from ops. So this whole software development lifecycle has been baked into what we call as an IBM Consulting Advantage. That's a platform which we provide and encourage our GCC clients, because as I said, GCCs are moving away from the traditional outsource to co-source and in-source. While in-source is up, we come into that co-source area where we bring in our experience of doing things to our own self through Client Zero. Also effectively look at what is needed while there is an aspect of requirements gathering, development, coding, testing. We also look at it from their business. For example, if it's a healthcare provider, what are the changes which are happening in a healthcare? If it's banking, and this whole thing comes through as part of what we do as an Institute of Business Value and the Study, where we go in and look at almost like a global technology outlook, as well as how do we effectively look at it from end to end global, and then we try to bring in end to end local. In terms of recently, we've released something called an Asia Pacific AI Outlook. So actually, after talking to several leaders, several consultants across the board, several business leaders, we come up with a view that if you belong to banking, these are areas or challenges or which keeps a banking CEO up at night, or if he's a supply chain logistics. So we actually say, okay, these are the use cases where we believe you can adopt and bring in AI. We will give you a platform through our IBM Consulting Advantage. We have our client case studies. Can we look at pockets of trying to make sure that we prove and work together in a co-source model of ensuring AI adoption in your business journey? Specific business outcomes is something which we sign up and we agree to really take the AI evolution. We do it in pockets, and then most important for us, as you very rightly pointed out, is not about proof of concepts or pilots. It's about driving AI at scale. And this platform for our clients, for example, I told we were working on redesigning the entire payer to provider workflow or the journey. And we actually did it. There was Figma designs, there was workflow, the assisted DA, and how the whole design was done is something which we've gone and taken to the client for this insurance provider. Similarly, for a large retailer, they wanted to go live with their new features ahead of time before holidays, peak season, Black Friday testing, other things keep happening. Global enterprise, right? So they wanted to make sure that their GCC is able to deliver more. What did we do? We basically signed up for working on an AI embedded testing using our. We said, today you have so many testers, you are doing testing in your own way. Why don't we go ahead and do assisted testing for, first of all, faster outcomes and also predictable results by the end of using that. It goes through a process, as we said, but that's another thing which we are doing for a large retailer. So design, testing. We are also involved very clearly in taking our business function examples, whether it's HR, finance, transformation, with several of them of trying to say, today, if you have an F&A practice as a business operations work, can we really look at your entire F&A the way we've looked at it and revamp, bringing aspects of automation, aspects of machine learning, and we can commit and agree on these sort of productivity benefits and customer satisfaction benefits is how we are going through. So each of these examples, whether we look at design or coding or testing or operations, we are actually working with a large entertainment sort of a client who's basically trying to see how do we improve the overall operations. We really go ahead and try to facilitate in what we call as AI ops, right? That whole thing is happening for another CPG client also, consumer product groups client, of looking at their supply chain. Can I really bring in optimization in the supply chain and then touch upon the logistics enhancement? So we're taking business case by business case based on the maturity of the GCC. We're also going by functions, whether it's HR, finance.
Right, so you're finding these breakthrough results not in just specific industries like banking. It's across. You're looking at across all the industries. Like what?
I would say because of the generational shift, I keep telling I'm probably getting very old, 3 decades and so on. But the Insta generation, because they're having everything at their fingertips, right? So if you really look at my son and daughter, they want everything instant. So the generations are very clearly something which they want, and they're used to it. So no harm. So in which case, the customer, wherever there are touch points, whether it's retail, whether it's travel, or whether it's banking aspect in retail, we are seeing significant investments, focus to make sure that we not only have the required aspects of understanding the customer, doing the required cross-sell, upsell with the customer, to really look at channelizing and making sure that you generate maximum value out of that customer in the given shortage of time is what we are seeing.
Right. Some great insights there. We're shifting our focus on to the future. 2026 is just around the corner. So what do you see as the biggest opportunities for GCCs? I'm talking about technology, operational impact, and global leaderships.
Significant positivity. I think we've seen, I'm an optimist, whether it's skills, resources, job market. I think significant inroads, especially being in India, because we've seen how India has adopted to the UPI and how it's actually transformed the whole banking, credit card, the whole business and supply chain logistics behind it. But that is again talent at scale, which is operational, right? So we should feel very humbled that we are part of a group of individuals who have this opportunity to continuously learn at scale and adapt at scale to new technologies. So, and we are always focused on trying to see how and where we can drive innovation. So with that, I think as AI moves into the next era, And what we've also seen very clearly from what we're seeing, as I said, I very clearly called out aspects of what we believe came in as part of the study, right? In terms of the AI, APAC AI outlook. Can we really go and enable the right ROI, right? On trying to get, okay, I'm going to go and invest from a return of investment perspective, what am I going to get? That is exactly what the shareholders will ask for the large enterprises or the corporations. So when we have looked at it from an AI outlook perspective, so what we are seeing more and more is they want to drive business outcomes. They want to really also enable their GCCs move up from what used to be traditional cost centers to what I strongly believe is innovation hubs or value centers. So I think there is a very clear maturity curve of GCC to GVC, which is happening. But I think similar to what we've heard, the importance of AI sovereignty, AI resilience is very clear. Embedded with security is something which is what keeps, and it came out very strongly in our APAC AI Outlook, which just got released. If you don't have a copy of it, I can share it across, but that's something which gets industry insights, how and where they are embracing AI. Some of our key clients have also are there who have mentioned about how IBM is enabling. One of our key clients has spoken on how IBM is enabling the entire software development lifecycle. Spoke about IBM Consulting advantage and the software development lifecycle. So these are examples which are there in that study, where clients are talking about how this is, and these are all GCC leaders also who've spoken about how it's happening in banking, how it's happening in R&D for a large auto manufacturing firm out here, or a retailer, and so on. But very clearly, I think making sure that the talent base here is effectively leveraged, trained to use AI at scale is something which is what we are trying to bring as GCCs move towards GVCs.
True. So, speaking of talent, I mean, I would like to touch upon, the workforce reality, jobs, skills, which you also mentioned about, and our audience would definitely want to know this part. So, as you mentioned, like, GCC, with its growth, in complexity, how do you see jobs evolving, over the next couple of years? What are the skills that they must truly have for professionals today? And probably what also an advice that you could give aspirants, entering this space?
I would, it is going to be a assisted world, right? We need to come to terms, and we need to embrace that. Today, I'm probably an MBA grad, come from one of those awesome schools. I know how to do business requirements gathering. I also know how to do, ROI modeling. But can I adapt and enable myself to be an assisted BA? Or can I even go in and refine and fine tune the model to enable assisted BA work? So that's something which is there. And it's going to be today, we probably have that requirement, let's say, in 10 use cases, right? We are probably talking about retail, banking, few others. That 10 will go into thousands. So there is no shortage of the people which is needed to really adapt to become assisted BAs or fine tune the BA modeling, requirements gathering, trying to make sure the designs look much better. Can we do an assisted designer in terms of effectively looking at it? So how do you become part of that ecosystem of becoming an assisted BA, assisted developer, assisted tester? How do you bring what you have as part of the technology and business requirements and so on? If you're already part of a system, you understand the workflow, where and how will you embed AI, right? If you're a tester, can you embrace to embed AI in unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and all bring in aspects of functional testing? Similarly, you're a developer, can you look at it? Can you even go and challenge that this particular agentic solution or the AI solution, what you have, or the machine learning solution, what you have, or the automation solution, what you have, is good for nothing, right? We are going to go into a world which I strongly believe similar to employee evaluation, which is happening for all of us on how our performance is for the year and so on. Soon going to have a world of evaluation of bots, right? So bot evaluation will also become a framework of saying, okay, today I have 30 bots who are enabling my BA, 20 bots enabling my coder, 10 bots enabling my tester. The smartest would be saying, 3 out of the 10 bots do not do what they're supposed to do. They are only adding more work, right? So that bot is good for nothing, the lowest performer. So I think it's an evolution where I would see sky is the limit. We all were worried when we know internet and jobs and other things. AI is another technology enabler. How we all adapt and use what is there in us in terms of whether it's industry knowledge, if you're already working, or process flow knowledge. Make sure that we start embracing and adapting to AI in a very secure and a responsible way. But also, if you're coming in new, can I really bridge and become one of those who can say, okay, this is what is there in a business function. You're already using these bots. Can I really look at maybe fine-tuning the model or refining something else? I think we are just probably couple of percentage points in terms of solving some specific use cases. The amount of volume of use cases which AI can touch is very nominally touched today. It will only increase. And with what we are seeing as we spoke about the AI Outlook or Institute of Business Value study in terms of what IBM looks at it holistically on global technology outlook and the trends, 5 clear trends, what we are seeing as we are moving forward for the next year, is it's going to be very volatile. It's going to be having its own uncertainties. But embracing AI is a given. AI with quantum in a hybrid cloud environment where, today all of our, workflows either sit in Google or Microsoft or Amazon or on-prem or IBM Cloud or wherever it is. But how do you effectively make sure that you understand the whole hybrid cloud aspect? How do you make sure that you understand the AI aspects from plus AI to AI plus? And most importantly, prepare. This is just the start. Quantum with AI will be taking the whole thing to another level of pace and speed for what the Insta generation probably wants, right? Much more quicker, much more faster. So I'm very optimist from the way of this creating more opportunities, more learning. It's about how well we respond and we learn and adapt. And I think we should feel very humbled that we are able to adapt, learn quickly, and we belong to that sort of group where I think sky's the limit is how I would probably call it out.
And which ways, Santhosh, I'd like to, thank you, for your time here. Thank you for joining us here and breaking this down with such clarity. Thank you for joining us here on Mint Techcetra.
Thank you. It was a great session, Nelson. Looking forward to, continue to share, network, and collaborate with new leaders in this new technology and emerging technology space.
Absolutely. Thank you, Santhosh, once again. As we wrap up, it's clear that the journey ahead for Indian GCCs, it's about more than just adopting the latest technology. The real edge will come from building capabilities that combine strategic scale, innovation, human-centered skills, even as AI continues to accelerate and change. You've been listening to Mint Techcetra. For more conversations at the intersection of technology and business, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite audio platform. I'm your host, Nelson John. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.